great down here in Tennessee. We don't need y'all to talk about us because we're going to talk about ourselves. We told y'all.
Here we are again, Justin.
We're here, Jake. I'm glad you showed up because there's a football team out there that did not appear to show up to the game on Sunday. Okay, welcome, blah blah blah. Titans Tube, Justin, Jake. Yeah, get that over with. We're gonna get into this, Jake. It's gonna hurt. It's not gonna feel good. It's hard to even know where to start here. Let me just kind of reflect a little bit. The Tennessee Titans, over the years, there's been some bad losses. I mean, this is the NFL. You're gonna take one in the chin from time to time, and that's okay. Titans maybe more so than other teams. I don't know. That just seems to be the way things go with us. And I know, so it was a 27-3 ball game. That's a 24-point spread, Jake. And this felt much, much worse than that, Jake. I got to be honest with you. It's rare whenever a team really, you just feel completely helpless and there's nothing we're doing that's going to work. And this team does have a kind of a reputation of always fighting back and always staying in games and giving themselves a chance to win at the end. And we looked like a dead horse out there laying down on the field. There was nothing that happened in that game that instilled any kind of confidence that things were going to change. Let me know if I'm being too dramatic too, but there's actually a lot of bad performances across the NFL, Jake. And I will say to you with 100% confidence, and maybe that's too much, maybe that's too high a percentage, that this Titans team on Sunday would have lost to the Denver Broncos yesterday, who lost by 70. I feel like we would have lost to, who else? Washington got their brains beaten in by Buffalo. We would have gotten beaten by Washington. Who else? The Jets with Zach Wilson look atrocious. We would have lost to the Jets, I think, on Sunday. It was that bad. All the Browns had to do was line up on defense with their front four, and we were rendered completely inept, and we could do absolutely nothing on offense. And it was horrible to watch. I didn't even watch the whole game, Jake. I'm going to be honest with you. It was so sickening. So I probably missed a few things in the game, and I don't care. I've got a life to lead. I got to have other things to care about. All right, I've talked for too long. I'm going to throw it to you, Jake. Those are my initial thoughts. It was very, very bad and troubling. And so there's a lot to get into.
Very, very bad, Justin. All rants aside, I'm right with you on your opinions. I thought you spoke eloquently there about the horrible, terrible, not so good, very bad day the Titans had on Sunday. And Justin, I mean, there's no use looking at a box score. There's no use going back and watching highlights of this game. It can be summed up with this tweet alone from Teresa Walker, Associated Press journalist for the Titans, and I believe she does a lot of Tennessee sports. But here you go, Justin. That is officially the worst performance as measured by total offense by the Titans since the franchise left Houston for Nashville in 1997. Justin, the Titans gained 94 yards on Sunday. They didn't even break 100. Didn't even break 100 yards. And of course, Teresa had to really, twist the knife in Titans fans. And, just to add, the Titans have lost 9 of their last 10. And they just posted their worst offensive outing since moving from Houston to Nashville, Tennessee, Justin. We knew this offense wouldn't be great coming into this year. We knew that. We knew this offensive line probably wouldn't be great coming into this year. And wow, oh wow, did every single problem the Titans have come to a head on Sunday against a really formidable Cleveland Browns defense. Now, Justin, that is a silver lining. Silver lining is that the Browns defense might be the number one defense in the NFL. I know they are currently through 3 weeks, but hot damn, man. I mean, you said it. You said it in your intro. I mean, rendered completely useless, completely inept. There's not a spark of hope or confidence. The Sean Murphy Bunting strip, fumble recovery, and what did the Titans do with that golden opportunity early in the game, Justin? They went backwards 9 yards and kicked a Nick Folk field goal.
We just want to make sure Nick Folk is a guaranteed, automatic kicker. That's all. We're just giving him more practice, more of a tryout, I think.
Absolutely. Teams are going to stop circling number 22 on the play sheet for the Titans, and they're going to start circling number 6, good old Nick Folk. As the Titans' biggest weapon. I mean, there's not much to say, Justin.
And then the sad thing, too, that makes it worse is that we're running out of excuses. This team is relatively healthy. We can't really blame injuries. It would have been nice to see what Skoronski can bring, getting back to the offensive line, because, God, Lord, that our job in rebuilding this offensive line the past 3 years has been a complete disaster. We have not done – draft picks – have been missing, but just overall, bringing in free agents, it has not been working. Tannehill sacked 5 times again on Sunday. So not only can we not blame injuries, so you say this a lot in your keys to win. You might mention, staying healthy, but that's a given. But you always go back to do not turn the football over. If we do not turn the football over, we're going to be a very hard team to beat. Our defense will keep you in games, and our offense will eventually find a rhythm to put points on the board to take the game at the end. We didn't have any turnovers. We had 0. The Browns didn't need to take the ball away. Yeah, 0 turnovers, 0 injuries. What are we looking at here? We're looking at this might be the worst, a worse performance than any of the Todd Downing games that we got last year. At least he could get us 100 yards. Downing. So I don't know. I mean, I feel like Titans fans are in probably starting to get into a full-on panic mode. And like, what exactly are we doing? What is the direction of this team? What are we doing with Tannehill? Are we keeping him in there? Do we need to put in one of these young quarterbacks? This seems very reactionary still. It's still early in the season. Mm-hmm. The Titans are still in a division where maybe the Gardner Minshew-led Colts are the best team in the division. How pathetic is this? We can't run away with the division, with the Houston and Jacksonville. And that's another thing, too. Let me go back to the ineptitude on offense. I feel like there's offensive coordinators and teams in this league that are doing more with less on the field in terms of players that they're working with. I can't really name you a player on Houston's offense outside of Stroud, and Dameon Pierce is a decent running back, but they can go out and drop 37 points against Jacksonville. Gardner Minshew can come in, and the Colts don't have any offensive weapons that can blow you away, but he can go down to Baltimore and get a victory. Just throwing a couple examples out. Look at what Josh Dobbs is doing in Arizona with Cliff Kingsbury. I mean, I don't know. It seems like there's teams out there that just make things work and make things happen. But dude, I'm at a point this year where I'm thrilled if we get a first down. I'm like, oh, okay, can we sustain a drive? Can we get points? I mean, it's getting that bad. I think the Titans finished the game with 6 first downs. Cleveland had 23. And again, on the defensive side of the ball, like, I don't know, you're not facing Nick Chubb. Deshaun Watson is struggling. And of course, he goes out and looks like the superstar Deshaun Watson that played in Houston. This is like best game easily in a Browns uniform. So defense has struggled too. So it's all over the place, dude. This game just completely fell apart at all cylinders, except for Nick Folk.
I mean, yeah. And Ryan Stonehouse. I mean, we cannot forget Stonehouse. I mean, at least we have some good special teams.
Oh, yes. Oh, hey, he had a 74-yard punt. That was his long punt of his 7 punts. Let's keep talking about special teams and Stonehouse. This is good. We did
1-for-1 field goal, 74-yard punt. I mean, Justin, it's brutal. I'm with you. I hear you. And this defense that was the thing is, the defense was getting pushed early. They were getting to Deshaun Watson. They were disrupting him. They couldn't get him on the ground. I mean, aside from that one weird backwards pass, I mean, this was a defensive gridlock that we expected coming into it. Through the first quarter and a half, and then that second half started, Justin, and it was after the Titans drove down the field. It was 13-3. They drove all the way down, needed to put the ball in the end zone because they were getting the ball coming out of halftime. At least put up 3, pull within 7 there. No, after that Myles Garrett sack that ended the half, the game was over.
Agreed.
Justin, it was over. And I mean, the fact that Teresa Walker gets on Twitter and says that this is the worst Titans offensive performance as the Tennessee Titans. Justin, how many absolutely horrendous, awful, terrible offensive days have we watched in the time of me doing this show with you in the past 4 years? I mean, we've had some great days and we've had some really, really bad days. And the fact that this took the cake, I know we're harping on the offense, but I mean, the defense didn't do a super great job either. We have to talk about Christian Fulton and this secondary having big problems. There's so many wide open touchdowns happening in these Titans games every single week.
The refs gave us a free one. They called Amari Cooper out of bounds. They should have had another touchdown on that play.
Yeah, it should have. You briefly brought up the Dolphins dropping 70, Justin. The Browns might as well have dropped 70 on the Titans. It was that bad. And I don't know. We can get into the philosophy and the roots of these problems, but I don't know. I find myself hopeful for this season, Justin. I find myself roughly not panicking really, because if I always think back to the latest season, what did we go through last season? What did we go through 2 seasons ago? Because this team looks relatively the same in the Mike Vrabel era. And, you look back at last season, week 1, heartbreaking loss to the Giants in a game they should have won. They looked ugly, and I know it was only a 1-point loss, but it was an ugly loss at home for the Titans, who were looking to go for a three-peat in the division. Okay, whatever. We can throw that away. Compared to this year, 1-point loss to an NFC opponent, week 1. Didn't look great, but at least you put up a fight and it was a close game in the end. Okay, week 2, last season. Go to Buffalo, Monday night, national audience, get absolutely doors blown off it. Justin, that was similar to this Browns game we just watched.
It's true.
Very similar. And then the Titans, what did they do? They fought back to 1-2 last season with a squeak by win against the Raiders that they really didn't deserve. And the Titans squeaked past the Chargers this season in a win they, I thought the Titans played a little better in that game, but it could have gone either way. Justin Herbert had a chance to win it at the end, and Brandon Staley faltered in that game, and the Titans got away with a cheap win. So if you look back at 2022 versus right now, the Titans are in the same exact position. They've taken an absolute ass beating. They've lost a close one where they looked like shit, and then they won a close one where, it was a classic Mike Vrabel game. It's the same 1-2 football team we saw last season. Are they going to reel off 6 of 7 now, Justin, and be 7-3? I don't think so. I really don't think so. And I think the contending Titans of the Mike Vrabel era, unfortunately, are gone. I mean, the A.J. Brown teams, oh my God, 2020 and 2021, even 2019. Oh my God, those teams feel like a glimmer of a memory. And it's unbelievable that this team is built in a similar way, but they are not the same team at all. You think back to 2020, they're going and beating the Niners. They're going and beating the then Super Bowl champion Rams, and they're taking it to the Bills and the Chiefs. And it's just, it feels so far away from that, Justin. And am I overreacting in saying that is a bygone era of the Titans, or is that justified? Because it really feels like it's those days are over.
Yeah, this team certainly feels like we're approaching a crossroads, and what is the direction this franchise is going? Because I think you're completely correct in that we had an expectation. I would even deem it like the Art Smith era, if we also just want to talk about the offense and what we were witnessing with what he was doing. We had a lot of great players. Henry was a few years younger. Of course, we had A.J. Brown. But dude, even when Henry went out, dude, we were getting major production on the ground game with Dontrell Hilliard and Deontay Foreman. They stepped in admirably in the running game and had some fantastic performances. And now with our best players still in there, it's just, it's not working. I don't know if we're continuing to run the same scheme and defenses are catching up and we're just predictable old Titans. Is it that, or are these players just not up to snuff and executing and establishing their blocks, giving Tannehill time, run blocking, not letting Henry get touched behind the line of scrimmage for goodness sakes. But yeah, I have to agree. It feels like we are getting further and further and further away from this Titans team that ripped off 2 straight AFC South titles, had the #1 overall seed, had the magical 2019 run, was really just vibing and gelling and clicking on all cylinders and had an identity. And that's something that the Titans that we're seeing now in the last season and a half that lacks. We don't have an identity. It feels like we're fumbling around, just trying to figure out what works and who we are. I mean, new faces, DeAndre Hopkins and Chris Moore, had our only offensive highlights. Yeah, let's talk about the highlights. Chris Moore's catch deep with his hands, catching it over the defender. That's it. That's the highlight of the game for us.
How many points did that result in, Justin?
Oh, how about a goose egg? We didn't do nothing with that drive at all. This team was shut out, Jake. I know it says 3 on the board, but as we all know, the defense got a turnover in their territory. Yeah. And then, as you said, went backwards. But good old Nick Folk was able to knock it in. So this offense scored 0 points, which is ridiculous, and it should be, I don't know, unacceptable. Fireable offenses. I don't know. I feel like major changes have to be made because this, whether it's the coaching staff or the crop of players that we're bringing in. I mean, I think the writing has been on the wall, and it's definitely more and more clear now that Tannehill and maybe even Derrick Henry too are not going to be on this team. It just is a matter of time if Tannehill even finishes the season right now. And I don't think you can go away from Tannehill if you're still trying to win this year, because I still don't like Malik Willis. I don't think Willis is going to come in here and provide a spark and provide quality pro quarterback play that we need within this offense. It's interesting. I was listening to 104.5 The Zone here in Nashville after the game, talking about the game, and Kevin Dyson brought up, I think there was a caller that called in and at least bring in Malik Willis on some packages and maybe do something like that, where you just kind of change it up. And Kevin Dyson was like, you can, but that just it kind of sends a message that you're desperate now. It kind of reeks of desperation, and that you can't get anything going without trickery. And we already have done that. I think we've ran a couple flea flickers here and there. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the answer is, because you got Malik Willis and Will Levis sitting on the sideline, two high quality. I've mentioned this before, draft picks that are just sitting on the sideline and not helping this team. If you thought that Tannehill was going to be the quarterback through the whole season, we've got 2 young project quarterbacks really just kind of wasting away over there if we're trying to win now. And I don't think they can come in and do any better given the circumstances than Tannehill, given the protection, possibly the scheme, not getting much help on the ground game. So we're kind of stuck with Tannehill, and until we get to the midway points. I was talking to Caleb, other member of this channel, who he said, I will place, I'm calling it now. If the Titans are under 500 at the halfway mark, I think Tannehill's going to get benched for the rest of the season. And we got to find out if these young quarterbacks can play and look to the future from there. So that remains to be seen. But I don't know. I hate the idea of tanking and giving up on the season. So I think you still have to have Tannehill in their plan. You look at the division you're in, and if you win 7 to 8 games, you might be able to win the division and sneak into the playoffs. So, I mean, that's the silver lining. That's our saving grace is looking at the other teams in our division and knowing that nobody's any good.
I couldn't agree with you more, Justin. This was something I wanted to bring up when we got into the roots and how the rest of this season is going to play out. Because, yes, Ryan Tannehill will not be on this roster next season. We know that for sure. And Justin, after yesterday, it pains me and it almost makes me want to well up and start crying but I also think Derrick Henry will also not be on this roster next season, Justin.
No,
I
I
mean,
hate to see it.
I need to go back and make a cut up of all the quotes where I said we need to stop and smell the Derrick Henry flowers, and we need to really cherish these moments watching who probably is maybe the Titans' best player ever. And
For sure.
fast
Yeah.
forward, I mean, he played like 12 snaps, Justin. He played, and he's been consistently playing low snaps early this season. And you said it, writing on the wall, and I just feel like every week that writing on the wall is getting a little clearer, a little bit clearer. However, that being said, you brought up the division. The Jacksonville loss to Houston yesterday was saved the entire day, for one. Two,
Yeah.
said it. I mean, 8 or 9 wins is probably going to win the AFC South again. The Titans have the benefit of being in what is probably the worst division in the NFL, and you have to keep Tannehill out there. Tannehill, without a doubt, I don't give a rip what anybody says. Tannehill, out of the 3 quarterbacks on the Titans roster, gives them the best chance to win. We know this. Any Titans fan knows this for sure. Yeah. And with the Henry decline, I mean, of course, I mean, we don't have an identity right now. There is no identity. There is no strategy. You know, there's nothing to us that says we're a team moving forward that's going to contend. However, I still want to contend for that division title. I still want to try and get to 9 wins, 10 wins. I mean, but these aren't the Titans from 2019. You know, I like the way you put that, the Art Smith era. This is not the Art Smith era Titans. These are the Mike Mularkey Titans. These are the Terry Robisky Titans, Justin, where they're gonna fight and scratch and claw to get to 8 wins, and they're gonna be in the division race. Will they win it at the end? I don't know. You'll have to stick around and find out through every weekly tooth pulling that we're gonna sit through. And it makes me so sad to know that Art Smith era is in a box and shipped to Atlanta, because I feel like they have a decent team down there. I got to root for our guy Art, but it's sad, and it's so sad, and it's deflating to know that, yes, this is the Tannehill last dance for sure. And with every mounting week that Derrick Henry gets outsnapped by Tajay Spears, and every week that Derrick Henry posts under 70 rushing yards and his production is low, that the writing is on the wall, man. And this is a team that's in need of a major refresh. It's in need of a completely turnover of identity. I think Mike Vrabel stays. I don't think Mike Vrabel's on the hot seat at all. I think he is the least of the Titans' problems right now. This is a roster construction issue that started. You can literally point and say the trade of A.J. Brown was the start of the end. And I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Like, I know J-Rob did so many great things for the Titans, but that little Jenga piece that came out has toppled this entire franchise, and we're still – you know, and also you go to other John Robinson mistakes, drafting Isaiah Wilson, you know, the entire construction of the offensive line from 2020 on has been an absolute clusterfuck. And it's compounded upon itself. And now we find ourselves putting up less than 100 yards on a day in the NFL, Justin, where the Miami Dolphins scored 70 goddamn points. I mean, come on. And I will say, at least we aren't Broncos fans.
Don't know. I feel like we might have lost to the Broncos on Sunday. Like that's how
we would have.
And possibly I missed one huge blowout. The Chicago Bears, 41-10. I think it was 41-0. Would we have lost to the Bears on Sunday? I would probably put money on the Bears. Like that's how low.
They at least put up 10.
Yeah, they at least put up 10. They found a way to the end zone eventually. I like that analogy you had on J-Rob. You know, trading AJ was a Jenga piece that came out and things just toppled from there. It's crazy how much he botched things at the end of his tenure, because when he first got here, he threw together an offensive line in a snap that was great. In 2016, he drafted Jack Conklin, brought in Ben Jones, brought in Josh Klein from New England, who was decent. We already had Taylor Lewan. I forgot who the other guard was.
Nate Spain, or
Quentin
Spain.
I think Quentin Spain. That's right.
Yep. Yep.
and they were pretty good. They allowed DeMarco Murray to have a Pro Bowl year, and Marcus Mariota was throwing up 20 plus touchdowns, which he never did again. But yeah, like he threw together a great line, and he brought in Roger Saffold, I think, a few years later, and I think that's where Derrick Henry got his 2,000 yards. We did some good work early, but just the rebuilding since then has completely fallen off. And now Rand Carthon has given his shot drafting Skoronski. But of course, a bum appendix or whatever it is, a stomach issue. Like
Yeah.
he seems like a good player. I think he could be a hallmark staple on the O line.
Absolutely.
But yeah, dude, just the failure of replacing that production that AJ Brown was giving us. I mean, I like Burks, but like
he's invisible, dude. He is invisible.
6 targets, 1 catch for 5 yards. AJ Brown, like he may have had some duds here and there. AJ Brown was not out there catching 1 ball for 5 yards throughout the course of a game. Not even Corey Davis was doing that. So I don't know. Ever since the AJ Brown trade, I mean, it's with the O-line and the failure to replace the AJ Brown production, it's just all toppling down from there. So this franchise has a few tough months ahead of them in terms of, are we going to be winning some games and staying competitive, or like you said, and I think maybe we do need it, a complete refresh overhaul, at least offensively. I think we got some good pieces on defense. We need to fix what the F is going on with these blown coverages, leaving receivers wide open. Because other than that, like our run defense is stout. And we got some good pieces, I feel like, in the secondary, but we're still letting receivers run free way deep in the secondary. And that's a problem that happened last year and maybe even the year before. So I don't know if that's I forgot what's our defensive coordinator's name. That's a him issue. Bowen, is that a Bowen issue? Who knows? And what I would like to see Vrabel do, I would like to see him not like quit like promoting his buddies and people like he knew in Houston, like Tim Kelly, because so far I don't know if Tim Kelly is up to snuff for the job through 3 games, especially this performance. Like, you gotta find yourself a young coach that knows how to run a modern day NFL offense, and whoever the guy in Houston is, he can trot out a rookie quarterback in his 3rd game and drop 37 points. Like that stuff should be doable, but still, the Titans still have not reached the 30-point mark in over a year now, I think.
Yeah.
So, well over a season. Yeah. So what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do, Titans?
I'm not gonna hop on Tim Kelly yet. I like Tim Kelly. I even said it during the game yesterday. As bad as things went, I appreciate there's a creativity aspect to what the Titans are at least trying to do. And, at least there's some unpredictability, passing on first down, for instance. That was a foreign concept to the Titans, that they could pass on first down for years and years and years. And now we're seeing that. And now you're, with putting Spears and Henry in the backfield at the same time. And it drove me bonkers yesterday that Burks and Hopkins aren't on the field all the time, on the field in obvious passing downs. Where are they both? There's one or the other. And why aren't they both on the field? I know we don't get paid enough to really make those decisions, but it feels like put your best players on the field and maybe try to go to them. Burks had 6 targets yesterday. I guess I stopped paying attention really. Same. You, I turned it off a little early. Not very many Titans games get turned off early, but there was some good games in the league yesterday that we just made the decision to pull the old plug, Justin. Sometimes you got to know when to walk away. You got to know when to hold them, know when to fold them. And yesterday was a fold them day.
Yes, sir.
But I mean, look at the defense, man. I mean, KB not getting any younger. Amani Hooker, good player, but it was a part of a few blown coverages yesterday. Christian Fulton, the guy who was supposed to be cornerback 1 in a contract year, Justin, he's allowed a perfect passer rating through 3 games. I mean,
Lord. I didn't realize that.
It was like 7 of 8 targets that went to him caught. He's given up over 100 yards, a couple touchdowns. I mean, it's bad. It's bad. And it sucks to see I don't know, when is this locker room gonna collapse in on itself? I feel
Hmm.
that every single week with the offense laying a dud, the defense keeping them in games. I mean, they still held Cleveland to what, 27? I mean, they held them under 30 in an absolute shit canning. I mean, you held them under 30. That's what do you want them to do?
Yeah.
And geez, man, it's just I worry about this locker room. But I have a lot of faith in Mike Vrabel too. So there's kind of a conflicting feeling there as far as the rest of this season is concerned, and
Right.
maybe the rest of the Vrabel era is concerned. We'll see. But I do think it's a roster construction issue that has had underlying problems that have been covered up by late game heroics and Derrick Henry running for 80-yard touchdowns and
Yeah.
oh my God, Traylon Burks finally caught a deep ball and we're in this game. And it's been
Mhm.
covered up for years and years and years. And now it seems like they're all coming to a head and the Titans are being exposed, I guess, right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree, and I do like what you said about Mike Vrabel. I do have faith that he is a motivator, and he can keep this locker room together and playing for each other and knowing what to say and how to rally everybody and not keeping anybody from blowing up like because I don't like that does happen. I don't feel like this team has like any like hotheads like that, and
Yeah.
AJ Brown could have been it has given glimpses of diva-ishness about him for
Mm-hmm.
sure. And perhaps there are some players like that here, but I think a guy like Vrabel will make it a point to keep that kind of stuff under wraps and keep it within the locker
Mm-hmm.
room. And so we may not hear about any of it unless a player literally walks out or demands a trade. And I don't know. I don't see that really happening.
No.
But just as far as staying motivated to play hard, to come practice and ready to play, and any given Sunday, forget about the week in the past, and it's all about the next week coming up. I'm sure it's what time is it? Like 3 o'clock on a Monday. I'm sure Vrabel has already forced the players to forget, and we are
Mm-hmm.
all about the Cincinnati Bengals now. We're coming
Yep.
back home. And if this team can win their home games, we're in good shape. We're 1-0 at home. If you kind of want to trickle into the Bengals a little bit
Yeah,
here,
absolutely.
it's interesting that the Browns were coming off a short week on Monday Night Football, and now the Bengals will be coming off a short week on Monday Night Football. But I don't think that matters. I don't know. I saw that earlier in the season. I'm like, hey, that's a slight advantage, for the Titans not to have to, getting an extra day of rest or whatever preparation. But that doesn't matter. These guys are going to come out and play their game regardless of the week before. So I don't know. I mean, Cincinnati, we'll see what they look like at home against the Rams tonight. That game kicks off at 7:15 Central. They're 0-2.
Must
Joe
win for
Burrow
the Bengals tonight.
has a gimpy calf. So that's a big story to watch if Joe Burrow I think he's questionable, so we'll see if he even plays. The next opponent coming in, are the Bengals taking a step back themselves? I don't know, but they still have some quality elite talent on that team. So it's going to be tough. It's going to be a challenge, man. Yeah.
I mean, all you can do after a game, like Buffalo last season or Cleveland just yesterday, you gotta just look ahead, turn the page, and honestly, Justin, if somehow, some way, the Titans beat the Bengals, get that Cincinnati, cloud over our heads. They haven't beaten Joe Burrow. It remains to be seen if Joe Burrow will even play next week or tonight. If they can go somehow beat the Cincinnati Bengals at home, everything's going to be sunshine and roses again.
Is all forgiven? Is all forgiven?
They're 2-2 and all is forgiven, and then we're on to the next week. And so it's going to be about getting through these first 6 games, get to that London game in the bye week, be 3-3. That is what I want from this team. I feel like that's all you can ask for this team. It feels impossible right now after what we just saw yesterday. But Justin, I think you would be surprised about how much both of our morale and just overall team morale could be flipped on its head by beating the Bengals on Sunday. They opened as half-point favorites, Justin, if you could believe that. I guess that's just the home aspect. I guess Vegas knows more about Joe Burrow's calf than we do.
Awesome.
It's all possible, but it's going to be all about flipping that page, beating the Bengals, somehow scratch and claw to get to 2-2.
Yeah. And then right after that, we go to Indianapolis before the London game against the Ravens. So I don't know. Gardner Minshew could be the best. He's probably playing the best quarterback, and we didn't expect that. We thought it'd be Anthony Richardson. So I don't know.
Mhm.
Anthony Richardson's back for that. But anyway, that game's in 2 weeks. Let's worry about the Bengals. I'm doing the opposite of Vrabel. I'm trying to forget, but I'm looking too far ahead. I should just be focusing on the Bengals this upcoming week. So, that kind of puts things in perspective. I'm glad you kind of, at the end here, kind of laid out some good silver lining of, I like it. Let's try to be 2-2, and if we can get to the bye at 3-3, hey, we can
We're fighting.
start from scratch essentially.
Yep.
And I doubt anybody else in the AFC South will be going on a 3-4 game winning streak, in this time frame too. So we're going to be right in it. If we can just be, we're praying for 500. We're praying for the Mike Mularkey.
I told you we're back to the Mike Mularkey Titans, Justin. It sucks and it's new faces, but same old shit at the end of the day.
Yeah, I hear it. Well, okay. I guess unless you got anything else, I think we've covered our disappointments, but also given some glimmers of hope. That it's not always lost. We're 3 games into the season. Man, that the Chargers overtime win sure does, it looks really good to have a 1 right there in the win column instead of an 0-3 egg. Then the conversation could be pretty different if that was the case. But
that it would.
But yeah, that's all we can do. Just let's try to get to 2-2. Back on the 500 gravy train, baby. This is Titans football here.
Love it. That's the NFL, Justin. Comment, subscribe, all that jazz. Thank y'all for tuning in. Stay positive. Everybody have a great week. And we're on to Cincinnati, as the great Bill Belichick once said. Yeah. And that's all we can be. Peace out, everybody. Have a good one.